All right, and we are live. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We've got an exciting call here today. My name is Angel. I am back with Pavan Agarwal. Pavan, do you want to introduce our special guest today?
We have more than a special guest. We have Tosha Chang, realtor, broker extraordinaire with LPT Realty. And she has just a remarkable story of perseverance, success, building an incredible business from scratch. And not only that, but she is a senior citizen grandmother, AARP card, and also eligible for reverse mortgage.
That is my goal in life, is I'm going to get approved for that, and I want all the discounts at every restaurant diner in town.
So how many of you actually believe that? But it's a true story. She is very much how old is your granddaughter, right?
So I have two grandkids. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and then I have a 2-year-old grandson.
There you go. So yes, you can have it all well into your golden years.
Hey, I'm trying. Trying to make it every minute of my golden years.
So we're going to begin with, I'm going to tell a story about how I met Tosha. It was like at a conference, right? I think it was at a Mindset Summit conference in Austin about 2 or 3 months ago. And she saw my presentation and she said, well, that's cool. I'm going to try it out. And she tried it out. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the call. She tried out AngelAi, had a lot of fun with it. And then we got to know each other. And then I went to Tosha had an event in Austin. I went to that. And then from there, just been expanding the business partnership. And we have a lot of things in common, both on our perspective on certain matters of the world and how to grow businesses. And then I asked her, I said, Tosha, could you mind contributing an hour and do some coaching for our realtors and loan officers and other professionals who watch my podcast? And she was kind enough to donate 1 hour of her time. And I think
I'll send 10 bucks later.
And I think that I think that invoice is going to cost me about $3,500 is what I'm hearing.
Tax title and license.
That's an inside joke between me and Tosha. So I'm gonna just take it over, Tosha. I mean, you got such an incredible story and how you started from where you did. I know a little bit of story. I don't know all of it, but I think the lesson for anyone who's watching is really pay attention and learn from how to turn, whatever you may be feeling today. If you're frustrated about something, if things aren't going the right way, if you're not doing as much volume as you thought you should be, right? Those things don't matter. Listen to what Tosha did and how she turned around, and then apply it to your life and your business. And you can see now how much potential you have going forward. So take it over, Tosha.
Yeah, and so I'll just give everyone a brief recap of my beginnings, because my beginnings is really what structured and made me into the realtor that I am today. And real estate, I would say, is the best industry for me. It was really the only option for me, in my eyes, and anyone who had to overcome so much. And so I started out with, very humble beginnings. My father immigrated from China, married my mother, who was born here in the U.S. My mom was Irish, my father's Chinese. But he was very much, even though he married a white lady, American woman, he was still very much set in his traditional Chinese ways, right? And I was his only child. And in China, the firstborn is meant to be the male who takes over the dynasty, who carries on the family name. And so they would typically abort the female or sell them into in their indentured slavery, to another family or something, so that they would become useful, right? And so obviously in Texas, we don't allow that. And my mother's mother, she was actually the head nurse at Brackenridge Hospital, and that was a Catholic hospital. And so there was no way that they would allow my mother to have an abortion. My grandmother wouldn't allow it. So my father divorced her and then married someone else. You know, she kept me. Obviously, I'm still here. Thank you, Mom. I'll be taking you out to dinner later. But so my father went off to marry someone else who was she was barren. She couldn't have any other kids. So I'm it. That's all he got. And so I went in and out of foster care because my mother wasn't financially stable. You know, she had been married to several abusive men, and they didn't want to take care of someone else's child, you know, especially one that didn't look like them. You know, I was the only Asian child ever in my family. And so no one on my mother's side, including her next husband's, ever accepted me, right? Because they were all of Latin descent, or her family was Irish, right? And so I faced discrimination on my Asian side my entire life. And so, you know, up until 12, I was in and out of different foster care homes, living with different families. And I had the benefit of experiencing different lives, you know, like some of the families I lived with were very wealthy, and some of them were not. So I got to see both sides of the aisle. And then by the time I was 12, I decided I was done being in someone else's care. And I left. I moved in with somebody I was dating, who became my first husband when I was 14 years old. And I found out that he had a girlfriend as soon as we got married. His family was kind of well off. His father gave us, as a wedding present, gave us an apartment and in a little fourplex that he owned. And downstairs there was a young lady who was about my age, who was always home alone. And so one day she came upstairs and she was like, I know who you are. You know, I'm Javier's girlfriend, and I know you're his wife, and I'm pregnant with his son. Well, I had just found out I was pregnant too. I was 14 years old. That was the first time, you know, we had been together. And so I hadn't told my husband because I was already afraid that I got pregnant so soon that was going to be a bad thing. Well, then I found out she's pregnant too. So I'm like, okay, you can have him. So I leave and I divorce him. And then I remarry his friend 6 months later because I still need to be emancipated as an 18-year-old so that I can legally work in the state of Texas, right? And but it doesn't necessarily have to be my first husband. So I married someone else. We stayed married for 17 years. I have two more kids with him, and but he wasn't a worker. You know, he ended up staying home with my kids. And again, you know, I got married when I was 14 years old, dropped out of school. You know, my highest grade of completion was 9th grade. So I only had a GED, right? Now I have, you know, 3 kids, a husband who doesn't work, and then myself, right? And I'm the only one who is paying all the bills. And it was exhausting working 2-3 jobs at a time. And so what can I do in order to accommodate a good lifestyle? Because I still sent my kids to private school. You know, that's why I had 3 jobs. So I could pay for the household, pay for education, pay for tutoring for my kids. But then I was at work 24/7. I never had time to spend with them. It was only my husband who got to spend time with my kids, right? Because he was a stay-at-home dad. So I got my real estate license. And because, you know, I skipped over a lot of things, right? And during the teenage years when I was a child, you know, my husband and I would split up a lot, and there was a few years where I was homeless with all of my kids, and now I no longer had my husband to provide daycare for them, to take care of them. So at that time, I would break into, you know, in vacant houses, and we would live in those vacant houses, you know, until I was about 17 years old. And so I got a few criminal trespassing things from living in those places. And so when I first applied for my real estate license, I passed all the education requirements. I passed all the things, except I never knew I was supposed to get my record sealed as a minor. I didn't know those things were going to hold me back, that criminal history was going to hold me back from getting my real estate license. So then I wrote a long letter to the governor of Texas, and then I sued them because they were holding me back from benefiting my own family. based on me trying to provide a good livelihood for my kids, because I couldn't afford, a roof over our head at that time. I took advantage of the resources I had. And so now I'm trying to get a license so that I can financially provide for them. And you guys are holding me back from doing it. Well, then Rick Perry actually reached out to me, invited me to the governor's office, and they went ahead and sealed my records for me. Within like 3 months, I was issued my real estate license, and then I got into real estate. So it was already a fight just to get into real estate. And then
wait a minute. So Rick Perry read your letter and reached out to you?
the office read the letter, and I guess it went, somebody else, like a secretary, somebody reads that letter, and then I got an automatic like a response from the office letting me know somebody was going to contact me, right? And then I got a handwritten letter from Rick Perry inviting me to the office, and then they actually got me involved in all these like volunteer, positions, and that's originally how I got into politics, was through threatening the state of Texas. I was like, you guys are holding me back. I'm going to fight everybody until I'm able to work and provide for my kids. And I was offended that they were trying to tell me to apply for all these free financial resources. And I'm like, I don't need financial assistance. I refuse, because they're like, you don't need to break into houses. They're sectioning housing. You can get on food stamps. You can get on Medicaid. And I was like, I don't need that. I don't need any of that. What I need is you to give me my real estate license, allow me to work and provide for my children, and stand out of my way. That's all I need you to do. Get out of my way, and don't block me from progressing for my kids. I don't need financial assistance. And so they're like, we like you. That's the kind of attitude we want. And so they're like, we'll help you with, your college and everything. But I didn't have time, because by that time I had already collected 5 kids. So I had my 3, right? My mother had 2 more kids, right? And just like I was in and out of foster care, she lost custody of both of her kids. They were ages 2 and 1 at the time. I was 16 when she first lost custody of them. And that was when I fought for custody of them. I didn't get permanent custody until I was about 27 though. But I had temporary custody over them the entire time. So I had 5 kids, even though I gave birth to just 3. And I'm like, look, I don't have time to go back to college. I have time to work, and I have time to pay for my kids to save up to go to college. And that's all I want. And so for me, getting into real estate really changed my life, because before that, I had no idea what I was going to do. I've heard about careers, people making money as a doctor, making money as, a lawyer, business owners. But I was like, where's my place? Because I don't have a college degree. I don't have family that I can go and live with and call to help me with anything. And so for me, real estate was the best and the easiest way to become an entrepreneur. All I needed was that one license and my 2 feet, and that was it. And so when I got into real estate, it was very much like a market like today, where it was the bottom of the market. We had subprime mortgages. We had the bubble burst. Every single realtor that was a veteran realtor that should have been, training me and mentoring me, they were quitting. They were quitting, and they're getting a full-time job doing the exact opposite of what I was doing. And they literally told me, you missed the boat, kid, keep your day job. And I'm like, look, guys, this is the only license I have. I just quit my day job. So this is going to have to work. I have no other option. And so you guys can give up. You guys can quit. I'm just getting started. And so just like I had to adapt my entire life into the environment that I was thrown into, real estate is the same way. You have to have the mentality to adapt to whatever climate you're working with. So during that time, it was very much like today. It wasn't a buyer's market. It wasn't a seller's market. It was an investor's market, because every single house was an REO, was a foreclosure, was a short sale. And almost every single deal that was being sold was a cash buyer, hard money lender. I didn't know what a hard money loan was back then. Or it was a developer who was building multifamily dwellings because there was nothing but renters in the market. They couldn't afford to buy a house. Everyone was getting laid off at that time. And so that was kind of the height of all of these free seminars, Armando Montalongo, Get Rich and Flip It, house, and DYI, Fix It and Flip It, So I would sign up with every single one of those free seminars. And then I bought maybe 10,000 business cards. That's where all of my money went, was on business cards. And I would go to all these events, and the first ones I would get kicked out because I didn't realize they had realtors there that were on standby, and all the members, joining this class for free was going to be set up with a session with them. And so I was like, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the lunch break and I'm going to wait for the bathroom breaks. But eventually everyone in this room is going to know who I am, and they're going to have my card without the people throwing the event knowing that I'm here. And so I would get up, and follow everyone to the bathroom, follow everyone to the lunch breaks. And I would just hang out in there and give everyone my business card and let them know, I know you're here so you can learn how to invest in homes. I'm a realtor. I never told them I was new. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew I needed them as a buyer, right? And so I was like, I'm here to help guide you in your investments. I will set you up on an auto email on everything that you're looking for. The minute you see something you're interested in, let me know. Let's go take a look at it. I'll get all the information for you, blah, 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 So they didn't know if I was new or not, right? And so they just knew I was a realtor. So they started giving me a call, and then it started with one house. I sold one house after like 2 months of attending these free seminars. And then literally after that first house, it's like it started skyrocketing. He referred me to someone else, or they started talking about that investment in the class to some of the other members in the class. And they're like, oh, you bought it from Tosha? Okay, well, give me her number. And like, girl, I already gave you my number last time I was here, but I guess you threw away the car. So then they'd give me a call, and I'd, sell them a house. And I actually learned a lot from my clients, from my investors. They taught me about commercial real estate. They taught me what they were looking for and the criteria and the ROI that they were looking for. And they would kind of break it down. And I'm like, can you just go in a little bit more detail? Because I want to make sure I'm giving you the quality experience that you want. And I want to make sure I'm finding the type of investment that's going to fit your portfolio. And really, it was just like, I don't know what they're saying. So can you explain that? And so they would break down the ROI, they want at least 8%, return, on their duplex purchase or their apartment purchase. And so I started selling commercial. I started selling duplexes and multifamily dwellings. And now 15 years later, I'm still working with the same clients. And now they're like, I didn't know you didn't know what you're doing. That was your first year in real estate. And but yeah, that's literally how I got started. And then the very first company I went to go work for was Exit Options Realty. And the reason why I went to go work for them, I had gone, I had approached, KW, all the big box brokers, all the ones that everybody knows about. But what I saw was they charge a lot of fees and they gave back very little. And in my mind, if I'm paying someone to work, you work for me. So what is my broker going to provide for me of value, right? Because I am what's of value in your company. And so I went to go work for Dan Castro because he was besides being one of the number one brokers in Austin, he was the number 10 Texas litigator attorneys in the state of Texas. And so what I saw of value with him was not the brokerage per se, but the contracts, the litigation portion of it. And so, yeah, I signed every single one of his contract classes, every single one of his legal classes, and I absorbed every single thing that I could. That I could get in trouble for, that if I was managing agents, what can they get in trouble for? What should we be doing on the contracts? What are the loopholes to get out of them? What are the loopholes to get in them? How do you sneak into a deal and, things like that. And how far where's the gray line? And so I learned all about that in real estate my first year. And then my second year, I started managing, I left that company. I went to New Home Locators. It was another small brokerage. I say small, but we had about 240 agents, right? And I immediately went into a manager position there. And I don't know why they pushed me into it, but because it was my second year in real estate, they're aware of that. But I had all of these agents coming to me asking for advice about how do you get out of these contracts? How do you get out of this? Like, how did you do that with that one buyer? Or how do you get all these investors in your pocket the way you do? And so I started teaching all these agents that, and I didn't realize that I was building a team and I was supposed to be getting paid overrides on that team. And so the owner of that company, the broker, he came up to me. He's like, I'm going to make you the manager of the company, and you're going to get 10% override on all of the agents because they're all asking for your help. And so you're going to get paid for that help. So he trained me to be a mentor, basically, of the company. And then I just never left that position. Because I guess I started off as managing a role of managing agents. It just became natural to me to continue that. And so that's the kind of position I've always been in. And then I just got a very loyal following of a team, and they've been with me, through many different companies, fortunately. And now it's growing with my current one. It's surpassing what we've ever thought was going to happen. But I mean, it's all over persevering. Every single thing that I did in my life was because somebody was telling me, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. No, you're never going to achieve it. And I just refused to accept no. To me, this is something I'm going to quote my daughter. A no is just an aggressive yes. You want me now to aggressively get that yes out of you. And so how I have to do it is that's the challenge. I just got to figure out how I'm going to get you to agree with me now, or how do I surpass you, go around you just to move this block out of my way. But my entire life is breaking down walls, and that is real estate. It's breaking down walls. Sometimes it's breaking down the buyer. Like the seller, I'm working on the seller side, and he's like, I'm not taking any less than X amount of dollars. And we got to get that buyer to come up because he's the only one putting the offer. So how do we do that? Or we got to give them more value, make them see the value in this house or this property so that they do increase their offer up to what you think it's valued at, or vice versa. If I'm on the buyer side, the first thing I do is I'm finding everything wrong with the house so that I can beat down the seller. And it's just breaking down walls. And sometimes that wall is the other realtor on the other side. Sometimes it's not even the seller. It's just the other realtor. So you just got to find the weak point of the wall, and then you just keep focusing on it. And so I would say that's how I'm successful.
So tenacity, never give up, and never lose hope and confidence in yourself.
Yeah. Like I think I just always had this mindset that if someone says no, now I have to do it. Like, just because you said, even if I did not want to do it, it was not even a thought in my mind, because you just volunteered that I'm not allowed to do that, or I can't do that. I now have to prove to you that not only can I, but I will, and you're going to watch me do it.
So there was a question on the live stream. Are you a broker or a agent?
So I'm actually a team leader. In 2 weeks, I will have my broker's license.
Okay. And your team is very large, right?
Yes.
Tell us about your team. Huh?
And it's constantly growing. So we're about to have 250 agents, because we're about to bring on another brokerage into the company as well.
Incredible. And did you recruit that brokerage?
Yes.
So what for the realtors that are watching, what is your recruitment secret? How do you convince people to come over?
I don't convince people. Pretty much every single person that has came on, they approach me. I mean, as long as you're coming from a place of value, you don't have to sell anything. You're just helping them transition over. And that's what I do. I don't sell anything. I help people transition. And if my company is a great fit for you, you're going to see that. You're going to see the value, and you're going to want to come over. If I have to sell you on it, then we're not a good fit.
I love that. I was just watching something over the weekend from this marketing expert. A famous guy said something. And then all the marketing people on this call be like, you don't know Seth's name? So anyways, but he was basically saying the same thing. He was like, when brands get to the point of saying, here's my value, and if you're not a fit to my value, right, and to my why, if you're not a fit to my why and my value, then we're not for you.
Correct.
So in other words, you got to have a well-defined brand, and you got to have a well-defined value proposition. And if it's well-defined, guess what? It's not going to be for everyone. Mm-hmm. So if you're an agent, for example, that's just chasing every rabbit in the jungle, you're not going to catch any rabbits.
Correct. Yeah. And so for me, So my approach first with buyers is when we're walking through a house, whether it's a house, apartment, a duplex, whatever it is, the first thing I'm going to do is point out every single thing wrong with the house. I do not sell anything. I'm going to tell you why you should not buy this. You're going to tell me why you still want to buy it after we're done with this. We're going to write the contract, and I do not want you exercising your option period. I want to know right now, do you want to back out of the contract before we even write it? And so I'm going to tell you everything that's that I think is going to be a negative to move forward with this purchase. But if you still feel there's enough value to move forward with it, then let's do it. I unsell everyone, right? And because I am, for me, I owe my duty to my clients, right? And I refuse to sell them something that's going to be a money pit, or, I don't want to take advantage of somebody, because they're going to come back to me after they close on it. And they're going to ask, why did you push me into this when this was my goal? That this doesn't fit my dreams. And I much prefer to be an advisor to help them succeed rather than set them up for failure. And so I like to set people up with the honest, realistic expectations. If you're coming into my company and you're thinking right away you're going to become a millionaire without putting any effort, you're not a good fit for my company, because you already have the wrong mindset. I need someone who is going to put in the effort, as much effort as I'm going to put into you. I expect that from you, right? And so I don't care if you're a brand new agent, just like I was a brand new agent. Everybody should have an opportunity to show themselves, right? And so I'll take anyone with the correct mindset, whether they're a new agent or an experienced agent. But even some experienced agents, they come with bad habits, and they're not necessarily a good fit for my company.
So there's another good question. What city are you in, and how's the market, and how do you keep agents motivated? It's actually 3 questions in one.
Okay, so I live in Manor, Texas, but I always say Austin because nobody knows Manor. It's like 15 minutes northeast of Austin, Texas. How do I keep my agents motivated? I don't need to keep my agents motivated. They have their own bills. They have their own why. I am not their why. Why they got into real estate wasn't because of me. It was because of their bills, their overhead, their goals, and their dreams for their own family. I don't think that I need to motivate them to reach that, right? What I do is I find out what are their goals and how can I help you achieve that, And so for instance, one thing that I'm doing is I bought a Zillow account. I've had it for maybe 12, 13 years now. I originally bought it for $500. I had to get a loan to get that because I didn't have enough money. I needed $500 to pay them every single month, right? So I had to get a loan, and then just to get those leads. And I was the only one working all of those leads. My son, Nehemiah, my youngest son, he was my call, my call center. I always had this calendar on his laptop that was synced to my phone. He would answer every Zillow lead, enter it into my phone so I would know where I need to go to show the next house or open the next door or contact the next person. And we were like a machine, and he was my assistant. Now he has his own job, a real job, and I have an actual assistant now. But I now share those leads with my agents. I don't take any of those leads now. So it went from $500 a month to now I'm paying $10,000 a month. And I own the entire city of Manor, parts of Lake Travis, Austin, and East Austin as well. And I have a 40-60 commission split with my agents. I keep 40%, they keep 60% because they do the majority of the legwork. I just pay the bill. And then they help me reimburse, me for Zillow with that 40%. But like right now I have a contest, for however many agents sell the most Zillow leads. So it can be my entire team makes it because they sold the equal amount, or it can just be one person. Next year, I'm going to send them to Maui. I'm going to pay for their round trip airfare. I'm going to rent the Airbnb for them. But that's just an enticement, a reward for their success. But their motivation, I think, is their personal bills at home.
Okay, so I do have to correct you there. You have your son and you have AngelAi.
Yes. So AngelAi has been a huge help, honestly. So I really use AngelAi to help me with prospecting. In my company, I'm always looking for other agents, right? So all I did was write a script. I uploaded to AngelAi, And then I upload a list of people to contact, and then AngelAi contacts them, and they go through the script for me, and then they'll send me back anyone who's interested, and getting more information about LPT, my company, or if I'm using it to pick up more listings, I have a script, to cold call for expired listings. Right now I'm doing a lot of FSBOs, for sale by owners, and short sales and Rios. I do the same thing. I upload the script to AngelAi, upload my call list, and then AngelAi, they get back to me with whoever I have an appointment with. So that just makes my life a little bit easier. And the fact that it's free, I mean, how can I argue with that price?
Maybe we should talk about splitting that 60. I'm kidding. No, it is free specifically because I know how hard it is right now in the market.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you were saying about the value, right? You bring value to your agents, and if you can't see the value, if the value isn't aligned, then working with Tosha is not the place for you to be.
Right. And I'm really here for my agents, and that changes per agent. Just like you had to adapt to your real estate market, to the climate that you're in, you have to adapt to your agent's needs, and that changes, per agent. So some of my agents, they need to be held, they need their hand to be held, to be, walk them through the contracts. They need a script to know what to say to buyers, to sellers. How do you do an open house? Where do you prospect at? And then some agents are more on a higher level, that they're like, how do I build a team? I already know exactly, how to sell real estate, how to get the clients. How do I turn agents into my client? How do I start mentoring agents? How do I walk them out of their puzzles? How do I help solve the agents' problems? And then there's brokers who are like, I feel like I hit a wall, and I'm not, my listings aren't moving anymore. My agents' listings aren't moving anymore. How do I help them? So my value will adapt depending on who my audience is.
Incredible. So when, I this is the first time I actually heard the full story. I've heard bits and pieces of it, and from third parties, and it's the first time I heard it directly from you. So when you were really struggling, when it was your darkest moment, what got you through that?
God, I prayed. Like, literally, my faith is the only thing that made me get through everything. Was the faith that no matter what, God will provide. He may not give you what you're asking for, what you're wanting. You may want a Bentley, but he's going to bring you the city bus, but he's going to make sure you're getting from A to B, to A to Z, and everything in between. And that's the only thing that kept me going was, honestly, my kids, because I always knew that because they're mine, they're my responsibility, they deserve more than anything that I can give. And I knew that God would help me achieve that. And so I was always praying, I was always, I'm huge into faith. Like, I would have never been as far as I am without God on my side, because, if he's with you, then there's no one against you. So if the entire world is against me, as long as I know he's with me, I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to win.
I love it. That's the best explanation I've heard ever.
It's the truth.
So when you met Rick Perry, was he cool?
He is one of the nicest, down-to-earth people I've ever met. He thinks I'm super fiery. He's like, you were such a firecracker. He's like, you're going to sue the state of Texas. Do you understand what that means? I was like, not yet. We'll find out, though. He's like, all you have to do is get your record sealed. And I was like, I don't know what that means. How do I do that? It's like, okay, we're going to drop this lawsuit. Okay. And we're going to sign this paper, and now it's sealed. And I was like, okay, that's all we had to do. He's like, it was that easy. You didn't have to fight anyone.
Yeah, I spent some time with Rick a couple of years ago. He's a great guy. And
he really is.
The thing is, he's incredibly cerebral, and he thinks things through.
Yeah. And he's big on his faith too. He even prayed in his office with me together. It was really sweet. I had my son there. He was a toddler, And so like Xavier, he's now about to be 25 on the 18th of this month, but he met Rick Perry when he was a baby. He probably doesn't know about it today, but he did.
It's too bad that primaries went the way it did. He would have been a great president.
I know. I thought so too. Yeah. So
But-
everything happens for a reason though.
Oh, well, let's not get into politics on this. This is about everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So for the loan officers that are watching, there are a lot of loan officers that are watching this right now. And pretend I'm a new loan officer or a loan officer that's never worked with you or your office, and I knock on your door and I say, Tasha, please give me a loan. How do I win you over?
You got to earn my business. Everyone has to come from a place of value. I need to know, what are you going to give my agents? What are you going to provide for my agents? All of my lenders have to be a partner in my company and some format, right? So like my preferred lender, they split my Zillow leads, and they always have my back on any events that I do. They're always the first ones. They don't even ask me what the event's for. They're like, how much do they cut a check? And for me, that loyalty means everything. And so I'm loyal as well.
Yeah. All right. So and you said you're growing really fast right now. What's your projection for the next 12 months?
Next 12 months. So when we launched LPT Realty, we started December 6th of last year. With 0 agents. We now have 700 agents today. It's not even been a year. So in the next 12 months, I would anticipate that to be 3 times the amount at the rate that we're growing. So maybe 2,000, 2,100 by next year.
Wow. And that's LPT as a whole, or that's your division?
That's just Texas. As a whole, we have about 7,000 agents nationwide. We're about to open, I believe, 7 more states. And we're venturing out very, very quickly.
Incredible. So we got 20 minutes left. Angel, could you take over for a minute and just show the audience how Tasha is using AngelAi?
Yes. So one of the ways that Tasha is using AngelAi, as she mentioned, is the lead prospecting feature, which allows you to upload a file of your leads. There's no limit. It can be 1 lead. It can be 100,000 leads. You can provide your own email templates, your own phone scripts to really make it as customized, as personal as you would like. And then AngelAi and her human assistants, we call them Angelistas, will run phone campaigns and email campaigns on your behalf. So as Tasha mentioned, this is a totally free service. It just allows you to be able to have the time to reach out to all of the leads that you have and really focus your time on those that are going to be most likely to convert into a deal with you. So we do offer training on AngelAi where you can really get in depth, get hands-on. So I'll let you know in a moment here how to sign up for that training. But very briefly, how you would use that lead prospecting feature is just through a chat with AngelAi. You just let her know you have a file of leads for her to follow up on. She's going to ask you a few questions about yourself. When you create an account, she'll remember all of this information about you. So it'll just make it even faster in the future to use these features. And then once she gets all of your information in, your contact information, your license number, your office information, then she's going to ask you for your file of leads. So there's this little paperclip icon right here. That's how you attach any sort of documents that you want to give to AngelAi. So in this case, we're attaching a file of leads. And you see me doing it here in an Excel format. It can really be just about any type of file. It can be a PDF, it can be a picture, it can be a Word doc, whatever you've got.
And I just want to chime in here. This is a free service available to everybody, all realtors. And there's no obligation. You could just use this and you don't have to I just want you to be a customer of my tech company. And I want to be able to give back and help you grow. And you have absolutely no obligation to work with my mortgage company. No.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you. And so we're offering this to all of our agents as well. I'm also the incoming president of ARIA, the Asian Real Estate Association of America, and I'm going to be introducing this to them too, just because I feel like this would be a benefit for both the mortgage side and the realtor side, to be honest. And if it's a free service, again, I love to always be of value to everyone in my circle. And so I want to let them know of any tools that's going to help them progress their careers without dipping into their pockets, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can specify whether you want to do phone campaigns, email campaigns, or both. No matter what, it's all free. So in this case, I said both, and here she's offering to use my own email templates and phone scripts. So I'm just attaching those files the same way I did with my lead file. You do have the option to customize the schedule in which that they make phone calls and send out the emails. So one really cool thing about AngelAi is you can talk to her just like you were talking to a human. So if you have questions along the way or you want to tweak anything in the process, just tell her that and she'll be able to help you out and respond accordingly. So here she just confirmed she's going to be contacting leads on my behalf and keep me updated through emailed reports. So if someone is on the phone during your call campaign that is interested in speaking with you right away, they're going to attempt to live transfer that call right over to you. If you're not available, they'll send you a quick follow-up email with the pertinent information from the call so that when you are available, you get right back to them. And then you'll also receive those emailed reports with all the information, everything that was done on your leads. You get some really cool insights like demographic information, things like that. So you can stay up to date on everything that's been done with your leads.
Okay. And so how does someone get a workshop training? And it's like, I think Tosha, but she's different because she's like super smart. So she saw literally like a 30-minute presentation that I did really fast, and she got it and got into it right away. And I think in that there was about 200 or 300 agents there, and you're probably the only one who like immediately jumped on it.
Well, it's because, so like all of my kids are some type of engineer in some format. So my daughter's going to school for aerospace engineering. My oldest son is going to school for architectural engineering and civil engineering. And then my youngest son is a computer engineer. And so I think I just have an engineer's mind without a degree. And so it's just natural,
Well, I would say you're a life engineer.
Yes. See, I love that saying. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to steal that.
Well, more than welcome to. All right. So
you can register for a workshop, like everything with AngelAi. It's totally free. We keep the workshops really small groups so that you can interact directly with the trainer, get hands-on in the system, get some ideas on how you might be able to integrate AngelAi in your business. They'll help you create your free account, all of that good stuff. So just go to angelai.com and then click this button that says click here for workshop registration. And we did just expand the amount of workshops that we are offering every single day. So by popular demand, we broke them into separate calls based on your job role. So if you are a realtor, you're going to be on a call specifically for realtors. If you are a broker, same thing. So angelai.com and just click here for workshop registration. If you want to talk directly with AngelAi, you can just click Ask AngelAi now. And like Tosha did, you could just jump right in. As I mentioned, you can talk to AngelAi just like you're talking to a human. So it is pretty easy to get accustomed to using, but definitely join us for a workshop to become an expert.
Got it. So, so a new agent, when a new agent joins your company, how is that onboarding experience? What happens?
With the new agents, so I actually don't run the new agent orientations. However, I know we send out the ICA, we give them a chance to review that depending on which compensation program they're joining with our brokerage. We're the only brokerage in the US who allows the agent to choose their compensation plan between a 100% plan or an 80-20 revenue share plan. And then they can switch that once every 12 months, depending on their own needs. And so we identify which one is going to be the correct one for them. We walk them through the rules and regulations of that. We have 2 different CRMs that we provide for free. So we'll set them up on the correct one that's going to be for that compensation plan. We obviously want to make sure that they're familiar with the contracts. If they're a new agent, they have to join our mentorship program. And the first 3 transactions, they will have to work with the state mentor to make sure they're done properly and they stay out of trouble. We do take a portion of the commission for that to cover the mentor's fee. And then we kind of like hold their hand throughout the entire process. Anytime they need anything and any type of questions they have, there's always someone available to answer those questions. We have a ticketing system with our brokerage where if there's a question that they have for a particular broker or particular entity in our company, you can just put it in there and then they'll get a response shortly after that. But that's really it. We introduce them to all of our systems in our company, and then we let them roll with it.
And for the loan officers that work with you, how do you define service? What is it that you want to see from those agents?
So I really love mortgage lenders who want to teach and educate my agents. An educated agent is able to educate the public and correctly represent their clients. That's not always going to be like just building a report. Like you have to know what is the current interest rates, what types of programs are available to them. And so like right now, I'm always pushing, send in all your offers with 3-2-1 interest rate buy down so that you can help the buyers buy down the interest rate. They can borrow or get a gift for their closing costs. It's going to be the same amount, the same savings, and the seller is going to pay the same amount, but it's going to result in hundreds of thousands in savings for the buyer with a 3-2-1 buy down. So I want a lender partner who's going to partner with me as far as like educating my agents, staying on top of the things that they need, helping them with marketing, helping them with open houses, and being very hands-on.
Right. And when the lender partners are working with you on marketing, this is all like co-marketing, right? They're marketing their brand probably perhaps more than your brand.
Right. And so we can only, per RESPA guidelines, we can only accept 50% of co-marketing with the lender. And so it's basically just 50-50. Like, yeah, they're like, let's say we have a flyer, you know, they're usually on one side of it and we're on the other side where our name and our brokerage is being marketed, but then they're equally marketed as well. And so they get that, you know, they get that attention and that recognition just like we do.
Exactly. Now, do you find that some lenders fall on service?
Yes. I've had a lot of lenders where the lender was definitely a problem where they were not themselves educated. I actually knew more about some of the loan programs they did. And I mean, the lender can really make or break the deal. The most important part of any home purchase is your lender and your loan. The least important part, ironically, is the house itself or your realtor.
So would it be fair to say that your number one priority in selecting a lender is how they treat your buyer and the deal that they give to your buyer?
I would say how they treat your buyer and how if they have patience or not. Because sometimes if they don't have patience, they may be, you know, very educated, but if they're not sharing that information, then it kind of defeats the purpose of learning it, you know?
Yeah, that's right. So the number one priority when you select a lender is really how they treat your buyer and how they take care of your buyer and make sure that I'm assuming your number one priority, like every good realtor, is to make sure your buyer gets the lowest interest rates and the best, lowest payments.
Yes, not just that, but also communication, and one thing that's huge, especially in today's market where you have very few buyers even filling out a loan application to begin with. And number two, the ones who are filling out that loan application, they're barely qualifying because of the interest rates today. The interest rates skyrocketed, but their income didn't necessarily. So if you're a listing agent, the first thing you want to do is call the lender on the other side of that pre-qual letter and find out how qualified are they? Are they barely making it? Where are they getting this down payment from? And if they don't answer the phone, are they going to take that offer, or are they going to take someone else's offer where their lender did communicate with them? And they do know, well, they checked, they verified everything. All the documents are good to go. This is a true pre-approval, not necessarily just an application that we printed a pre-qual letter and we haven't even verified any documents yet. I want to know, are they really going to close on this loan? If not, I am not taking this house off the market.
Right, so you want a quality pre-approval up front.
And I want someone who's going to vocalize that and answer the phone for my listing agent when I put in that offer. I'm not the only person on the site on this contract. We need open communication through all ends.
So for all loan officers listening, most important thing, answer the phone. Yes.
Realtors too. Realtors are the worst about answering their phone. Half the time I'm like, why do you guys even pay a phone bill? Y'all don't answer the phone. I would have already fired you, but
but here's the thing, for last several months I've been working with Tosha. Tosha always, I've never seen one time where I've called you and you didn't answer the phone. So
I always answer the
amazing.
phone.
It's amazing.
I live on this thing. It's terrible. Smartphones were a blessing and a curse.
All right. Any last things you want to show, Angel? We got a few minutes left.
Well, Paul did say in the chat, we were talking about co-branded materials. So AngelAi does also create co-branded flyers, as it was mentioned in the chat, also websites. So I will show real quickly, since we just have a couple of minutes and I see another great question that just came in the chat. So I'm going to show really quickly an example of some material that AngelAi created. This is a property listing website, and directly from the property listing website. So AngelAi will create a highly SEO ranked website for your property listings. It can be co-branded with the realtor and lender, depending on their status with SunWest. And then from that website, you can hit print and boom, you've got your property flyer. There it is. You can also share directly to your Facebook, to your Twitter, or get a shareable link and post it right into a LinkedIn post, an Instagram post. Automatically, you'll have a really nicely formatted post. So by just doing that one request with AngelAi, you have all of this marketing material for a property listing. And that's something that you will learn in depth how to do in the Realtor AngelAi workshops.
And really quick, I noticed that the agent on the listing at the bottom of that is David Kurtz. And I just want to give a shout out to him really quick because he is such an amazing coach. He's actually donating his time to come out and teach my agents. We're only picking up like the airfare and the hotel, but he's literally donating his time to come and motivate my agents and next month in November and help them get out of this mental block that they're in right now. Because I have so many agents and brokers that are coming to me right now and they're like, I don't know what's happening. I've lost my touch. I've lost my edge. I have 17 listings and none of them are moving. And the thing is, it's you didn't lose anything. You cannot lose a skill you did not have to begin with. You're not a salesperson. You are a people person. You're here to build a rapport. If somebody wants to buy a house, they will buy it because they can afford it, it meets their criteria, and they're going to buy it through you because they like you, right? The difference today is we're in an investor's market. It's not a seller's market, it's not a buyer's market. Those houses are going to sit until you get the right person who can afford that mortgage. Most likely it's going to be a cash buyer who's going to rent it out, or somebody with a hard money loan who's going to rent it out. Because right now, most of the buyers are kind of stuck. They can't afford today's mortgages right now. And unless you can, give them an affordable interest rate. And so you're not getting any worse at anything. It's just the market has turned from you being able to be an order taker to now we have to come up with creative financing. You got to solve this puzzle of how we can get this buyer into this house. And sometimes it may be owner finance. Sometimes it may be, you have to pull together with many different family members, and we're going to buy a multifamily dwelling like a duplex and then rent out one side so that we can use that income, to help you get approved for this property, So now you just got to use your creative skills in this market and overcome the current challenge, which is the interest rates currently. So you're not getting worse, but David is coming in to help us with that. And so I really appreciate that.
There's another great question that was asked, and the question is, what inspires you? And I'm going to step in. I'm going to give you my answer, then I'm going to ask you for your answer.
Okay.
So what inspires me is that I was fortunate to be alive. It's number one. There's so many reasons I shouldn't be alive today. That's a different story. But
I didn't hear that story.
Number one, I'm fortunate to be alive. Second, God gave me these talents to build stuff and to build technology, and then also gave me the means to do it. The education, the business, the wealth to build all this technology and to build these things that can make people's lives better, that can make the industry better. And this is such an important industry because it is fundamental to economics. It's fundamental to everyone's lives. So if I can have an impact in reducing the cost by applying the talents that God gave me, and I can have an impact in reducing the cost and making people's lives better, that's all I need. And if I don't do this, right, then I'm wasting what he gave me, and then he's not going to be happy with me.
Exactly. I mean, I 100% agree with that as well. And I would say mine is a bit similar where, I don't see my upbringing as a negative, living in, living in foster cares, with different families, to me was a benefit that other people would never have the advantage of seeing. I was able to see how people overcame things in different ways, right? And I'm able to utilize those skills, everything I learned as a child today. And really, I would say what motivates me was always my kids. From day one, as soon as I got pregnant with my oldest son, Xavier, he was my why, he was my reason. I have to do better. I have no choice because God gave me this person to be responsible. I have every single, I have to use every single resource I have to make sure that he has a positive experience growing up, that he has a fighting chance in this world. And then I grew up and I saw the world we're living in, and it's so scary with the political climate, with, racism, with all the stuff that's happening. And even the economy. Now, my goal is to make sure that my kids have a better future, so that when I'm gone, they can have a good life with my grandkids. And then I would say my agents are my why as well. Now that my kids are all grown, my youngest is 21. My oldest is 25 this month, actually. So I'm almost an empty nester. My agents have become my why. And so anything that they need, I'm there for them. If they need CE hours and they don't have money to pay for their continuing education, then they need those hours to keep their real estate license, so that when they do close on that property, they can then pay for their bills, right? I will call everybody I know and make sure they get the CE hours for free. Whatever they need, I will make sure they get, right? And my why is really just to leave a better tomorrow for everyone else, because I think that's why God puts us here, and he gives us the skills that we have. I would say my skill is being resourceful and breaking down barriers and walls. Nobody will ever stop me. In 2019, I was in a car accident with my son, and we hit the retainer wall of I-35 going 70 miles an hour, right? I fractured my spine in 2 places. I couldn't walk for almost 6 months. I was physically, disabled and I had to have my spine fused. I started a water company, started a travel agency, and I built one of the biggest teams here in Texas while I was in bed. And I mean, the fact that I could walk or not is not going to hold me back from being successful. My mindset is what's going to push me. And the fact that my kids needed me, the fact that my agents needed me during that time, whether I could walk or not, didn't matter. They still needed me. I still had to provide whatever they needed. And so you just find a way, you figure out what you're going to do to adapt in that environment to make it work for them, because you owe it to them.
Yeah, another great question. And I know we're gone over, but such a good question I got to ask. Has anything ever gone wrong in a deal, and how do you handle it?
Oh gosh, I've had so many deals go wrong before. How do I handle it? So during COVID, I had a client who took a family vacation out in China. They were stuck there. They were stuck in China, could not leave for 6 weeks. The closing was in the middle of them being stuck in China. How I handled it was I called my title company. I told them what the situation was. They contacted the Chinese embassy, and then we set up an online mobile notary to get them closed. Another one I would say was I had a client who had a lien put on their, I guess they had a lien on their credit report, but it didn't pop up until 2 weeks before closing. And my solution to that was I just got my clients and the lender to call the creditor, and we got that item removed, and we got it removed in a timely basis. It's just you have to act quickly, identify the problem, act quickly, and then move on to the next problem.
Gotcha. So we're gone over. You are an amazing guest, an incredible story. I think if we had another couple of hours, we got into much more detail.
There's so much.
Yes. There's so much, and I think I might be seeing you next week in Austin. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you guys, or seeing you.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We had a lot of people join today, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Please show Tosha how much you love her, and like and subscribe to these videos. Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tosha.